I would like to welcome everyone to the Thursday Luncheon Group's 40th anniversary celebration. And from the buzz in the room, I think that each one of you is as excited as I am to be here. At your seats, you should have a souvenir program that highlights the significant contributions of African Americans in international affairs. Our agenda for today is located in the middle of that program. We have a full schedule this afternoon, so we will need to proceed quickly in order to make sure we cover everything. I am very pleased to serve as your co-host for the afternoon and will take this opportunity to make a few quick administrative announcements. Restrooms are located to my right. They are just beyond the elevators that you use to come up here. Also to my right, there is a table with coffee that will be available throughout the afternoon. We also ask that you either turn off or mute your personal telephones. We hope that you will thoroughly enjoy today's commemorative event. Now I would like to invite Ms. Morgan McLean McKinney to the podium to deliver the welcome and formally start our program. Ms. McKinney, is she here?
Good afternoon, everyone. Honored guests, pardon me. Good afternoon, everyone. One more time. Thank you. Honored guests, members of the Thursday Luncheon Group, members of the Association of Black American Ambassadors, distinguished colleagues, and friends from far and near. I'm truly honored to welcome you to the Thursday Luncheon Group's 40th anniversary celebration in this historic Benjamin Franklin room. My name is Morgan McLean McKinney. I'm currently assigned to the Africa Bureau at the U.S. Agency for International Development. I'm also a very proud member of the Thursday Luncheon Group. Today marks a momentous occasion, a celebration of TLG's history, achievements, lasting legacy, and a review of the path ahead. For more than 40 years, the Thursday Luncheon Group has served as a strong advocate for issues and interests relevant to African Americans and minorities, particularly the recruitment and retention of these groups in the foreign affairs agencies. Today, we are proud that 4 generations of civil and foreign service officers and supporters of the TLG have gathered here today on this occasion, many of which have traveled to Washington from across the country, from as far north as New York, as far south as Florida, as far west as California, even some have traveled from Louisiana. And we have to take this opportunity to send a special welcome to our honoree, Ambassador Terrence Todman, and his wife, Mrs. Doris Todman, who have traveled to see us today from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. I personally am pleased to have had the opportunity to collaborate with many of you in this room, as I recently completed a major effort to catalog African American achievements in foreign affairs. After conducting a web search and finding very limited information on African American contributions to foreign policy and international development, I decided to establish an entry on Wikipedia. Readers can now find a catalog of African American pioneers and those who have held senior leadership positions within USAID, as well as other agencies. This page is entitled African Americans in Foreign Policy. Representing the millennial generation of the 4 in this room, we eagerly aspire to maintain the commitment to excellence in international affairs like those who have come before us. I'd like to personally thank our host, Ambassador Joyce Barr, as well as TLG President Stacey Dew Williams, for the opportunity to address all of you today. With that said, please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's program. I'll now invite Ambassador Barr back to the podium to recognize our special guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. I would now like to recognize a few of our special guests who have joined us today for the Thursday Luncheon Group, or TLG's, celebration. As I call your name, would you please raise your hand, as some of us may not have had the opportunity to meet you before today. With us we have Mr. Irving Williamson, Chairman of the U.S. International Trade Commission and one of TLG's founding members. Mr. Colby King, Washington Post columnist and a regular panelist on ABC's Inside Washington. Earlier in his career, Mr. King held a series of assignments in the private sector, served as a Foreign Service officer, and was a commissioned officer in the U.S. Army's Adjutant General Corps. Ms. Susan Johnson, President of the American Foreign Service Association. Ms. Masha Jovanovic, Acting Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs. Ambassador Jendai Frazier, former Assistant Secretary for African Affairs, who oversaw an Africa policy that was widely heralded as one of the Bush administration's most successful foreign policy achievements. Mr. Eddie Williams, President Emeritus of the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. From 1965 until 1968, Mr. Williams was the head of State Department's EEO program and the Ford Foundation. He also supported the Foreign Affairs Scholars Program, which was the precursor to the Pickering Program. We are honored to have the following Foreign Affairs Scholars here with us today: Chairman Irving Williamson, Dr. Margaret Sims, Dr. Vivian Lowry Derrick, and Ambassador Ruth A. Davis. Mr. Horace Morancy, former director of the New York State Economic Opportunity Program and a strong supporter of the greater Brooklyn community. Ambassador Edward Perkins, President of the Association of Black American Ambassadors. Mr. John Feely, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs. And Ms. Ruth Ann Williams, mother of TLG President Stacy Williams, who traveled from Shreveport, Louisiana, to be with us today. Please join me in a round of applause for all of our special guests. I now invite Mr. Aaron Snipe to the podium to provide remarks to highlight this auspicious occasion. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron Snipe. I'm a career Foreign Service officer and currently serve as the spokesperson for the the Department's Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs, but I am also a lifetime member of TLG. As I look around the room today, it is both a pleasure and an honor to see the wonderful and diverse 40-year spectrum of both TLG members and friends of the TLG who have supported our goal of greater inclusivity for African Americans and other minorities in the formulation, articulation, and implementation of American foreign policy. In celebrating TLG's 40th anniversary, we do so in a venue that represents quite an evolution from TLG's humble beginnings. Its first luncheon location was in the Foreign Service Club back in 1973, as some remember. That was quite a long time ago, before some of our younger members were even born, and perhaps even, right around the time one youngish member was born. The organization and its members have walked a long road over the past 4 decades. And as we gather today, we acknowledge our shared past with admiration, our shared present with continued perseverance, and a future together that holds leadership and excellence as 2 of our core tenets. In speaking about the past and in admiring those who came before us, we would be remiss if we did not spend a moment to reflect on our surroundings here in the Ben Franklin Room and reflect a little bit on the man who this wonderful room was named after. As many of you know, the diplomatic reception rooms here at the Department of State have been used for decades by presidents, vice presidents, secretaries of state, members of the cabinet to conduct negotiations, sign treaties, and host visiting heads of state. The Ben Franklin Room, in its current iteration, was redesigned by noted Philadelphia architect named John Blateau, and it was completed in 1985. The list of foreign dignitaries that have sat where you are sitting, kings, prime ministers, queens, and presidents alike, is quite a long one. But the department's diplomatic engagements in this room and in the other diplomatic reception rooms have been critical to the successful implementation of American foreign policy. Yet these rooms also serve as venues to honor American service to our fellow American citizens. As many know, each year the Secretary of State hosts a reception here in the Ben Franklin Room to celebrate the Kennedy Center honorees. Just a few that I think many in this room know: Oprah Winfrey, Sonny Rollins, Morgan Freeman, James Earl Jones, Sidney Poitier, and 2 of my personal favorites, Fayard and Harold Nicholas, better known to some as the Nicholas brothers, 2 of the greatest tap dancers in American history. Though whoever the honoree from near or far, no matter what the occasion, there is always one constant in the Ben Franklin Room, and that is Ben Franklin himself, the father of the American Foreign Service. As many of you know, Ben Franklin served as America's first diplomat from 1776 to 1785. His diplomatic career began the year of our nation's birth when he served on a 3-person commission that sought French recognition and support for American independence. Quite a busy man at the time, he also was appointed to an even more important committee, the Committee of 5, that drafted our Declaration of Independence. In March of 1779, Ben Franklin presented his credentials to the French court, becoming the first American minister to be received by a foreign government. Ben Franklin was a great American pioneer in our chosen profession, and it's fitting that we gather on our 40th anniversary in the room named after this pioneer to celebrate, remember, and to renew our commitment to our own organization. Before I close, I would like to read the text of an important letter that the Thursday Luncheon Group received this week that I believe will be of great interest to all of you. I am pleased to join in celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Thursday Luncheon Group. In America, history is not only made by presidents and generals. Change often comes when caring and engaged individuals join together to create a brighter, stronger future for themselves and for the generations to follow. beginning as a small group of public servants eager to make a difference. Today, TLG unites hundreds to increase the participation of minorities in our nation's foreign affairs. By mentoring young officers and promoting leadership, TLG helps ensure our government reflects the people it represents and brings critical perspectives to American foreign policy. As you mark this special milestone and celebrate your accomplishments over the past 4 decades, I wish you all the best for the years ahead. June 24th, 2013, signed Barack Obama, President of the United States of America. Those are fine words to end on, so thank you all very much.
To your excellencies and to our honoree, to all of those who are members of the Thursday Luncheon Group, to Mother Williams, and to all my colleagues in the administration, to you, my brothers and sisters, I greet you with joy. I want to thank Stacy and the Thursday Luncheon Group for having me today to do the invocation, and it is an honor as the first African American and the first woman in this position to serve this wonderful administration. Yesterday, I was doing public diplomacy, and it was a question and answer period, and at the very end, a young man raised his hand. He said, "I just got to say this." He said, "When I saw you as an African American sister come up in here," he says, "at that position," he says, "it just made my day." So I want you to know, when I came in this room and saw all of you today, it made my day. So if you will take the hand of the person next to you, I'm a Baptist preacher by training, so I won't keep you all day. We will get out of here by Sunday. Let us pray. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever on the path we pray. Bless the food that we shall eat and the hands that have prepared it. Bless our appetites as we enjoy it, as we remember those today who have neither food nor appetite. We ask you to bless the President of the United States and his family and all those who travel with him, all those who surround him in his cabinet and who advise him. We pray, O Lord, that you will give us this day our daily bread, that we will always celebrate the legends and thank them for those who paved the way. We thank you for our honoree and for those who we honor, for every mile that's been flown, for every tire that's been blown, for every place we called home. We give you thanks. For safety, for security, for survival and arrival, we give you thanks. And for the food, the friendship, the fellowship, and the faith that we experience this day, we ask your blessings. In your name, let all who believe say, amen.
I can see you're having a great time getting reacquainted with each other, but we do have a program, so I encourage you to continue your meals somewhat quietly. But I have a wonderful pleasure, and that is to introduce our guest speaker, our keynote speaker for our program this afternoon. Let me start, however, by welcoming all of you here to this great room. It really gives me great pleasure to introduce Career Ambassador Terrence A. Todman. Throughout a long and distinguished career, Ambassador Todman has made enormous contributions to promoting our country's interests internationally and to building peace and security and developing the State Department as an institution. The program includes a biography of Ambassador Todman, but I'd like to take a minute just to highlight a few of his accomplishments. His career spanned every region but one, and there are very few of us today who can say that. And he has served as an ambassador in an amazing 6 different countries on 3 different continents. He was our ambassador to Chad, to Guinea, to Costa Rica, to Spain, Denmark, and Argentina. He was an icon in the department when I came in as a junior officer in 1982. In 1989, he was made a career ambassador, the highest rank in the Foreign Service, and the first African American to achieve those heights. Ambassador Todman was also the first African American to serve as a chief of mission in Latin America, and the first so far the only African American to be appointed Assistant Secretary of State for Inter-American Affairs. Throughout his career, he has shown deep commitment to supporting and developing State Department colleagues. The impact he made as a mentor to countless Foreign Service and civil service employees continues to make a difference for all of us. I'm sure many of you here today can attest to the role that he played in your career advancement. Moreover, the Todman Book Scholarship, established by the Thursday Luncheon Group in his honor, has been instrumental in encouraging students at historically Black colleges and universities to pursue careers in foreign affairs. Since his retirement, Ambassador Todman has remained engaged in foreign affairs. In fact, I'm not sure retirement is the right word to use for him, what Ambassador Todman has been involved in. He served on the Accountability Review Board that investigated the terrorist bombings in East Africa. He served as Special Envoy of the Organization of American States to promote dialogue in Haiti. And he recently was honored by the establishment of the Terrence A. Todman Foundation for the Promotion of International Affairs. Before ceding the podium, I would like to welcome Ambassador Todman's family, Ms. Doris Todman and his son, Terrence Todman Jr. And now it gives me great pleasure to welcome Ambassador Todman to the podium.
Thank you very much, Director General Linda Thomas Greenfield. In my younger days, I would know to quit while I'm ahead. But since I've never learned to quit, and there are always things to do, I've decided to join in this activity also. For me, it is an honor and a very special pleasure to join such a large and distinguished gathering in this prestigious Benjamin Franklin room to congratulate the Thursday Luncheon Group on its 40th anniversary. In addition to the very distinguished, outstanding people who have been mentioned before, there are few names I have to add because they do have such special meaning to me. I heard the name Eddie Williams called before. And I remember working with Eddie in the early days when we were getting the first set of followers operating in the State Department. I joined in 1952. So at the time when Eddie Williams was working, I had already been around on some assignments and found him a very wise counselor, get into programs of interns going in the State Department. I'm particularly pleased also to see my good friend Bob Dumas. Bob, who was the information officer with USIA when I was the charge d'affaires in Togo. And actually, I'm very happy that my wife Doris and our son Terrence Jr. are here with us today because they were present during many of the chats which Bob and I had back in the mid-1960s that led to the idea of what could be done for the very few African Americans to get together, to counsel each other, and to give mutual support that help us to cope with the difficult days in the foreign affairs agencies. I know that Julius Coles is here also, and the great job that Julius did in AID in getting some activities started there. also helped to turn this big organization into the wonderful one that we have here today. In these days, when so many organizations rise and fall, to have survived and prospered for 40 years is a meaningful or even a long period worthy of celebration and commendation. At this point, I would like to say special congratulations to all of the officers of TLG and to the committee of the specialized committees that worked with them, and for the special planning group that has helped to make the celebration of this 40th anniversary such a delightful and such a wonderful affair. I think it's remarkable that from the initiative taken by those two USIA officers, Bob Dumas and Bill Davis, who is here with me now and who's always been known for his dynamism and ability to get things going, that it is from that little beginning 40 years ago, and then in incorporation of the work from USAID and the basic encouragement that was done by Ambassador Harriet Elam Thomas when she was counselor at USIA, that helped this organization to develop into what we have today. From its beginning, TLG served as a support organization to which its members knew that they could turn for sympathetic ears or good advice from more serious and experienced officers. And this is what made a great difference in helping many younger officers to adjust to life and to work in an often difficult atmosphere. As part of its emphasis on mentoring, TLG has organized and operated a speakers program which allowed its members to expose to a variety of views and important foreign policy issues. During its lifetime, TLG has also stood out by its emphasis on recruiting, introducing, and working with a wide variety and a large number of young people entering into the State Department and the other foreign affairs agencies. I mentioned first the program run in the 60s by Mr. Eddie Williams. This was followed by the Foreign Affairs Fellows Program, established in 1992 by the then Director General of the Foreign Service, Ambassador Edward Perkins. In 2001, this became known as the Pickering Program, a program which has contributed some 500 officers now to the State Department. The big move came by career Ambassador Ruth A. Davis, and I do stress the career ambassador because Ambassador Davis stands out as the only African American woman to achieve the rank of career ambassador. And I ask for a special round of applause for Ambassador Davis. During her tenure as Director General, the number of Pickering Fellows was doubled, and she also was active in promoting the establishment of the Rangel Fellows, named after New York Congressman Charlie Rangel, who has been a stalwart supporter of diversity in the State Department in all foreign affairs activities, and one who we could count on to help whenever there was a difficult issue to deal with. That program has attracted 150 Wrangel Fellows to the State Department and makes a serious contribution to the growth of minorities. The latest thing is that TLG has partnered with the American Foreign Services Association to bring minority students to state for 10-week internships. I would like to congratulate and to thank AFSA for its cooperation with TLG and for the many more things that are to come. Since 1995, 17 interns have been placed, of whom 3 have joined the State Department. One of those persons is our present president, Stacey D. Williams. Before I say anything more about Stacey, I do wish to express my deepest congratulations to Mrs. Ruth Ann Williams, who traveled all the way from Shreveport, Louisiana, a major sacrifice, to come to be here with us today to greet and praise the work of our president. For now, I was just president of DLG, but there are many presidencies to come. We welcome you. We welcome you, and we're very happy that you're here, and we congratulate you for the very fine son that you have provided us, who's shown such leadership for us here at TLG and at the State Department. Let me take this opportunity to commend Stacey also, because when he took the helm of TLG 3 years ago, he met with the then Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, and laid out TLG's organization's priorities. These were to ensure that the department leaders kept diversity at the forefront of decision-making, and to emphasize recruitment and retention of minorities, and to emphasize the importance of civil service personnel and their advancement. By all accounts, Stacey is meeting these goals and has been successful in expanding the group's activities and its impact. I mentioned that he has worked with the Director General and the former Deputy Secretary to keep diversity issues on the front burner. He has successfully engaged regional and functional bureaus, including the European Bureau, to promote greater diversity in their recruitment programs. Stacey has shown vision, originality, and an ability to engage others in achieving his goals. These are the skills that make Stacey an exceptional leader and that have made the multi-pronged approach to this 40th anniversary celebration such a successful and memorable occasion. It is encouraging for me to learn of the areas into which TLG has expanded its activities to increase opportunities for minorities, in addition to partnership with AFSA to bring minorities into the State Department. It is reasonable to expect that TLG will become more fully integrated with all of the activities of AFSA, since AFSA is the principal organization for dealing with employee issues in the State Department. I know I can look forward to AFSA opening its arms even wider to cooperation with TLG as part of the State Department's employees, who must be a part of everything that happens. It is reasonable to hope also that TLG will continue to press BEX, the Bureau of Examiners, to support the idea of diversity in carrying out its duties, that TLG will continue to keep diversity issues on the front burner with a Director General and a Deputy Secretary, and that TLG will continue to impress on our foreign affairs agencies, all of them, the need to recruit, promote, and retain minorities in their ranks. TLG has honored me by instituting the Terence Stodman Book Scholarships. I'm truly grateful, and I hope that something about my 41 years with the State Department will inspire some students to establish their own marks in the service of our government. Members of TLG must also reach out and associate with other organizations in the foreign affairs field. This will allow us to learn firsthand of other views and activities and to state our own positions as part of a larger community in foreign affairs. Today, as turbulence increases across the world and our great country faces more challenges and threats than ever before, it is critical that our government, and especially the State Department, follow the values for which we stand and draw more fully on the tremendous human resources with which our country is endowed. Minorities must be in the forefront in pressing the State Department to do the right thing. Those with special skills, including languages, must understand and accept that they have the right and the responsibility to press forward and offer themselves for appropriate assignments without waiting to be called. I repeat, minorities must be in the forefront in pressing the State Department to do the right thing. Those with special skills, including language, must understand and accept that they have the right and the responsibility to press forward and offer themselves for appropriate assignments without waiting to be called. Senior and experienced officers must associate themselves with their organization's leadership in order to impress on the higher departmental leadership the importance and the seriousness of the positions taken by their organization. You cannot leave it to just the organization's leadership. The senior officers must become involved and must associate themselves. The department cannot be allowed to forget that on critical issues for the United States, such as the release of our hostages from Iran, it was an African American, Ulrich Haynes, as U.S. Ambassador to Algeria, who suggested getting Algeria as the negotiator and kept the Algerians involved until the issue was resolved. In my own various positions of responsibility, I negotiated the maritime boundaries and fisheries agreements with Cuba and traveled there for that occasion. I negotiated the air and naval bases agreements with Spain and Spain's entry into NATO. I encouraged greater participation by Denmark in fulfillment of its obligations as a member of NATO. And I dissuaded Argentina from getting into the intercontinental ballistic missile and the nuclear arms areas. There are many others, African Americans, who have been similarly involved in other critical issues. The department cannot be allowed to forget that and must be pressed to find African Americans for the critical issues for which it is so well qualified. It is imperative for all of us to realize that the more that all members of our society are involved in the formulation, articulation, and implementation of our foreign policy, the greater will be the likelihood of our country achieving the conditions needed for the peaceful and prosperous world that we all seek. Thank you all very much.
Stand there and enjoy that moment. If I could get Debbie Snipes to come forward. Debbie Snipes, I want you to grab this award for me, please. Thank you, Ambassador Todman, for that very powerful address in honor of TLG's 40th anniversary. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard a resounding message. But before I begin, I would just like to say I have a few items that I would like to present to you here today, Mr. Ambassador. As you have been a trailblazer for your entire career, we today present you with a newly established TLG Award, the TLG Lifetime Achievement Award. And in case you couldn't tell, Ambassador Todman has always set the standard in creating new categories. And the citation reads, TLG Lifetime Achievement Award, congratulations to Ambassador Terrence A. Todman for a lifetime of achievement in the field of foreign affairs. You epitomize the ideal public servant as United States' ambassador to Chad, Guinea, Costa Rica, Spain, Denmark, and Argentina. As Assistant Secretary of State for Inter-American Affairs, and as Career Ambassador, the highest Foreign Service rank. Your willingness to speak truth to power made the United States Department of State and the countries in which you served all the better for your having been there. Throughout your career as a stellar role model for diplomats and aspiring diplomats like me, you were a trailblazer, a mentor, and an exemplary leader whose career emphasized integrity, dedication to inclusion, and promoting the value of diversity. Today, we celebrate the enormous contribution you made in creating opportunities for minorities to be accepted, involved, and active in the formulation, articulation, and implementation of U.S. foreign policy. Your colleagues, the Thursday Luncheon Group, June 28th, finally here, 2013.
One last word.
Please.
Formulation,
Please.
articulation, implementation of foreign policy goes to, credit goes to Career Ambassador Ruth A. Davis.
Yes. Wait. And secondly, as has been the tradition for all our TLG speakers since November of last year, we want to also present you with the newly minted TLG medallion. The first recipient to receive the medallion was former Secretary Hillary Clinton, so you now share something in common with the former First Lady, the former U.S. Senator, and of course, the former Secretary of State. Thank you again for your leadership by example, sir. Another round of applause for Ambassador Todman. We are indeed grateful that Ambassador Todman accepted our invitation to join us here today. His presence today helped to solidify what TLG's 40 years represent. First class all the way. A special thanks to Mrs. Doris Todman, who has remained committed to public service for many years also. She was also instrumental in helping to ensure that visit to Washington for this event was a complete success. I can't tell you how many times I've been on the phone with her to get flights and everything together, but it worked out. So thank you also, Mrs. Todman. And I would just also want to say the energy and excitement to get this event together was tiring, draining, but when I went to the National Airport to pick them up and I saw that smile from Mrs. Todman, I was back at it again. So thank you again for coming. So on November 27, 2012, former Secretary Hillary Clinton graced us with her presence in the Van Buren dining room, just a few steps to my left in the other part of the building. Following her presentation, I reminded the audience that TLG celebrates its 40th anniversary in 2013, and that we would most certainly make a joyful noise in the new year. Never did I imagine that we would be fortunate enough to make that joyful noise in the historic Benjamin Franklin Room. But ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Smiling faces, grilled vegetables, and all. Earlier in the program, Mr. Aaron Snipe read a statement by President Barack Obama in honor of today's event. I would like to take a moment to read another document that I think adds value to our festivities today. And it reads, the District of Columbia, Vincent C. Gray, Mayor, proclamation, Thursday Luncheon Group Day. I don't think y'all understood that right there. Let me walk back. Proclamation, Thursday Luncheon Group Day, June 28, 2013. All right, now you're starting to follow me here. Whereas today, the Thursday Luncheon Group, or TLG, is celebrating its 40th anniversary. And whereas the TLG mission is to increase the participation of African Americans and minorities in the formulation, articulation, and implementation of U.S. foreign policy. And whereas TLG is comprised of 300+ members who monitor recruitment, assignments, employment practices, promotion patterns, training and matters of interest to foreign affairs agencies, and whereas this event will reflect on the history of TLG, honor its pioneers, showcase its achievements through the years, celebrate partnerships, and prepare the next generation. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor of the District of Columbia, do hereby proclaim June 28, 2013 as Thursday Luncheon Group Day in Washington, D.C., Vincent Gray. Well, I think that really helps us settle into our seats and enjoy the moment, wouldn't you agree? That added a little zest to the chicken that you heard a little earlier, right? And I bet many of you awoke this morning and didn't know that today was Thursday Luncheon Group Day. Well, now you know. Immediately following the November event, TLG identified strategic ways to broaden our reach and reconnect with many of our current and past members. In so doing, TLG began to gain momentum leading up to today's event. In order to truly honor these 40 years, we had to have 4 generations present to appreciate today's event. Therefore, my goal was to find a special way to honor our founding members, TLG pioneers, and past presidents. So today, I have the pleasure of introducing our 2 founding members, Mr. William B. Davis and Mr. Robert Dumas. I was a young aspiring intern when I first recall seeing Mr. Davis. I was at a TLG event where then TLG President, Ambassador Ruth A. Davis, was delivering one of her rousing performances at the podium. And as a side note, I do recall former Secretary Colin Powell saying, she's not Ruth A. Davis, she is Reverend Ruth. So as I began to scan the room, I noticed that all the guests were seated except for Mr. Davis. He was standing tall and proud, as if his son was graduating from college or if he had just passed his Russian language exam. He was proud that day because as a founding member, he was indeed impressed with the incredible momentum surrounding an organization he created. Mr. Dumas and I spoke by phone just a few months ago. His niece Renee, who is here today, connected us by phone so that I could give him an update on the plans for today's event and to share with him one of TLG's recently published articles. If I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that conversation made his day. He actually told me that he was going to mention this during his bridge game with his colleagues in Florida. But Mr. Dumas shared with me that he never thought TLG would be in the sound position it is in today. With that, I would like to invite our two founding members to join me on the platform, Mr. William B. Davis and Mr. Robert Dumas. So I would like to present you, as I have already done, with the proclamation from the Mayor of DC, because without your vision and care and concern for those who came behind you, this day would not be possible. Secondly, as founding members, you have both earned your very own TLG medallions. Please display both of these inspiring items within your respective homes with pride. So, this is TLG medallion. I've never seen that before. I know. It's spectacular, huh? This way? So I know I just mesmerized these two gentlemen to my left. But I would now invite Mr. Dumas to the podium to provide a few remarks on behalf of both founding members. Have a seat. Yep. Thank you.
When I was younger, I would never have dared to follow Ambassador Todman. But as you get older, you take more liberties. A Foreign Service officer must master the ability to constantly interpret. While living outside of the U.S., he or she is the interpreter of U.S. life, customs, policy to sundry individuals and groups. Then returning home, we are called upon to interpret the life in the community or countries in which we have served, as well as geographical differences and political policies to a host of different audiences. As a result, detailed analysis and circumspection become an integral part of our thought process. Bill Davis and I never served together abroad. We did not know each other prior to joining the Foreign Service. Yet, we developed a very special bond. We shared many conversations on myriad subjects and constantly challenged one another's intellect. We were both very ambitious and success-oriented almost to a fault. We both relished intellectual stimulation and possessed a low tolerance for the pseudo. We both enjoyed serving in the Foreign Service and were fully cognizant of its many strengths and complex weaknesses. And most important of all, we both feel strongly about reaching out and helping someone else. It was no surprise that the two of us, seasoned Foreign Service officers, after having been promoted to 2 senior positions, would get together for lunch. It's also natural for us to discover how we achieve these goals. One of the things that we realized was that because of the gregarious personalities that we both possessed, we had a number of friends in all of the Foreign Service agencies, and this gave us a huge network advantage that was very, very rare at the time. It also provided us with a large reservoir from which to seek information and advice. We decided, therefore, to invite a number of our contacts from the different foreign affairs agencies to lunch and to discuss the feasibility of organizing a career support group for minority officers. The only day that we could get a table in the Foreign Service Club was on a Thursday. And our meetings continued on subsequent Thursdays, and hence the origin of the name, the Thursday Luncheon Group. But Bill and I were adamant that no one would ever feel or get any idea or be able to misconstrue things to think that we were organizing something for our own edification. So we both agreed to one another that neither of us would ever hold office in the Thursday Luncheon Group as long as we were employed by the Department of State. And Bill never held an office. I did hold an office after I retired as president. In witnessing this organization today, Bill and I feel like very proud grandfathers, looking in astonishment at our seed that has exceeded even the very high aspiration that we held at the moment of your birth. We're very proud of all of your accomplishments, and we're very grateful to each and every one who is or has been a member of the Thursday Luncheon Group. We also wish to acknowledge the TLG members who have passed on and offer our thanks for their significant contributions to our efforts while they were alive. We wish you continued success and pray that you never forget that you are strongest when you reach out to help one another. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks, Mr. Dumas. That's perfect. And I would have to kind of also agree with Mr. Dumas that none of us like to come after Ambassador Todman. And I'm not sure who the program committee is, but this is the second time I have to come behind you after the anniversary commemoration. No one likes to do it. That's just a fact. We now shift our attention to our remarkable trailblazers who strongly supported the TLG platform and represented us well on the international stage. You will find a listing of all 17 pioneers in the program and a brief description of their respective agencies' significant contributions and achievements in international affairs. In the interest of time, I will call their names and ask them to line up in front of the platform, and we're going to have to be creative here where some would stand on this side, and I think Debbie Snipes is in place with my new generation of international affairs leaders to my right. But starting from my right and complete the line down to my left, when I call each pioneer, please stand in line, face the audience, and you will be pinned with corsages for women and boutonnieres for the gentlemen. So, calling our pioneers, starting with Ambassador Ruth A. Davis. Ambassador Edward Perkins. Janice Clements. Ambassador Aurelia Brazil. Dr. Esther Roberts. Ambassador Terrence Todman. And representing Deputy Secretary Tom Nides is Ms. Abby Rupp. Right there. So our younger generation had a training exercise on how to go about pinning properly. Please join me in a round of applause for our TLG pioneers. You may now be seated except for Ambassador Brazil and Ambassador Davis. We're trying to cut down on steps. Likewise, over the years, there have been individuals willing to take on the leadership role of TLG in an effort to advance the organization's mission. We have been fortunate to have a number of our past presidents with us here today. Again, a listing of all the past presidents is in your program. And a quick analysis of the list shows that the diligent work of the initial set on the left-hand side of the page paved the way for the second column of past presidents because they all have the rank of ambassador. Therefore, to me, the proof is in the pudding, as TLG's formula worked. Again, as your name is called, please line up in front of the platform, starting from my right and complete the line down to my left. I have these two women already here. So, calling past presidents, Jim Washington. Mr. Robert Dumas. Fannie Allen. Ambassador June Carter Perry. Ambassador Teddy Taylor. And there's a Mr. Pierre President representing the late Samuel President. He's here. And we have a Mrs. Parker Anderson representing the late James A. Parker. And please join me in a round of applause for our past TLG presidents. You may now be seated. And as I know, no one president can advance TLG's goals alone. If there are any former vice presidents in the room, I would ask that you stand where you are to be recognized. And while we're at it, there's a page in the program that talks to the membership roster as of August 1973. If you're on that list, please stand. Many thanks for your service. We all stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard a rousing keynote address from our honoree. We have recognized our founding members, pioneers, and past presidents. Now the question is, how do we effectively build on the success of the past? The way forward. For well over 30 years, TLG has been inward focused, and for good reasons. Number one, many of the members rallied around two specific issues: advancement of African American careers within the foreign affairs structure and the development and mentoring of more junior officers. Today, we have about 11 employee affinity groups, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other attention-grabbing interests. Two, the sheer number of baby boomers ensured a tight-knit, collaborative group. Just look around this room. However, we are witnessing a shifting of demographics in terms of our overall workforce. In this regard, TLG must endeavor to promote and advance an outward focus. And I think Ambassador Todman kind of talked a little bit about this. With that goal in mind, number one, TLG should seek to profile TLG members who are graduates of HBCUs, where the Todman Scholarship is currently awarded, then expand the effort to other HBCUs. Two, actively participate in the orientation sessions for Pickering and Rangel Fellows. explain the benefit of TLG membership, and the importance of developing a long-term career path. The late Stephen Covey promoted the 7 habits of highly effective people. The 5th habit, which is to seek first to understand, then be understood, is uniquely important when it comes to working across generational norms. Our newer hires must seek an understanding of the culture and the history of the Department of State and the important role TLG has played when it comes to promoting diversity initiatives for over 40 years. Number 3, advance a media blitz campaign. TLG has published 2 articles in the first half of 2013, given the 40th anniversary celebration. For the first time, TLG articles have been placed in State Magazine and the Foreign Service Journal, which we highlighted our partnership with EUR. TLG will endeavor to actively reach out to newspapers, magazines, and other media outlets in an effort to highlight TLG's 40th anniversary, profile our members, and showcase the benefits of career options in international affairs. Number 4, continue to work with fellow employee affinity groups in the development of the Department's diversity plan. And number 5, and lastly, I would like to highlight the fact that TLG has partnered with AFSA, the American Foreign Service Association, for over 17 years to co-sponsor an intern here within the department. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Leah Castleberry as this year's AFSA TLG intern. Leah, would you please stand? But in this room, we have others who have traveled to be here. Tejal Shah, who is here, is a Foreign Service Officer. Would you please stand? She was here earlier, I know I saw her. Angela Ade was also here for this event. But in Keche Aquanife, please stand. And let me explain why I'm really highlighting her. So this young lady worked on the India desk a few years ago. She, the very next summer, ended up at our embassy in Jamaica. And she graduated from law school here recently, and she's studying the bar. But you see her from California for this event here today. So please. I think that's saying a lot for her as a student to travel this far to be here with us. But clearly she feels like she's a part of this organization. We want to keep it that way. The time has come to expand this concept, that being the AFSA TLG internship. TLG will continue to partner with AFSA in the years to come. But beginning in the summer of 2014, TLG will join with the Association of Black American Ambassadors on a new initiative. I have broached a proposal with Ambassador Edward Perkins, president of the Association of Black American Ambassadors, and he and his executive committee have endorsed the proposal to bring a minority student to the Department of State through the TLG ABAA summer internship program next summer. Did you get that? So the idea of these 3 ladies coming back, we're trying to get 3 more guys coming back. But in an effort to ensure that this TLG ABAA program remains viable for years to come, it will be named for the only African American female career ambassador, Ruth A. Davis. So ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you with an appeal to all within the sound of my voice. Yeah, you can hear me. We need you within your respective communities, academic and private institutions, and your bridge games in Florida, Mr. Dumas, to help the department inspire and recruit the next generation of international affairs leaders. Several articles have been published recently about how the millennial generation now outnumber the baby boomers. From McDonald's to KFC to Marriott, they have all made changes within their respective establishments to try and attract this technologically savvy group. So too must TLG. The souvenir program that you have in front of you is both historical and instructive. When you encounter a promising young student or stellar mid-career professional, please use this program to explain what you have experienced here today. Direct them to the various websites on the resources page to educate them on the various opportunities available in international affairs. Help them to dream big. Explore internships. Zambia comes to mind for me. And study abroad opportunities such as semester at sea. Develop a 5-year game plan, and this is the most important part of that, with the belief that it can be implemented. Conscious. And lastly, and reiterate the importance of surrounding themselves with a results-oriented committee. These are people who want to see them do well. Mentors, family. General Colin Powell always suggested that in life, we should find something larger than ourselves and advance it strategically. Let me say that again. General Colin Powell always suggested that in life, we should find something larger than ourselves and advance it strategically. Ladies and gentlemen, join TLG in its efforts to help the department bring forth all of the various backgrounds, experiences, and cultures to create the best foreign policy. TLG's efforts provide a direct benefit to the Department of State, and in so doing, the country that we serve. On your respective tables, you should find note cards by the VOS, to be specific. If you have a special talent or interest that you wish to direct our way, please provide your contact information, and we will find a way to incorporate your interests in furthering TLG's goals. So without question, we have made history today on Thursday, Luncheon Group Day. Thank you for joining us in celebrating TLG's 40th anniversary, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I now invite Ambassador Perkins to the podium. He and I are both from Louisiana, just by coincidence. So a lot of people ask me, well, Stacey, where do you get all this energy? From people like this. Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon, everyone. Colleagues, present and future and past. And to the Director General, who is just departed, Assistant Secretary, and to all of you who came here to be present at the creation. And this is truly a creation. I have a bit of a problem holding back the tears for this great celebration today. But I'll make a valiant effort. To Stacey's mother, to all of you, it's a great pleasure to present something to Stacey, recognizing the ingenuity, the boundless energy that seems to characterize this president every time you see him. I think I'd also like to say that there are a lot of people who come and go. One of those who's not with us anymore, and I'd like to mention his name, and that's the Reverend John Gravely, who, with his wife, passed on to a greater continent more than a year ago. But he had a lot to do with making TLG successful and other activities as well. So there's always a prayer in my heart for this remarkable person and his wife. So we don't want to forget him because he had some promises that were not fulfilled, and we're going to fulfill them for him in his name. It's my pleasure to present to Stacy Williams an extraordinary plaque recognizing him for who he is. I would be remiss if I didn't call attention to Ambassador Harriet Elam Thomas, who took the lead in getting this plaque into what it is this afternoon. It looks like this. It has gold lettering on it, representing the goodness of the person that's going to receive it. Let me read it, if I may. Congratulations to Stacy Williams. For 3 years as president of the Thursday Luncheon Group, you mentored countless foreign and civil service officers. You brought nationally known speakers to the department, reinvigorated the TLG newsletter, instituted a TLG website, expanded the Todman Book Scholarship, welcomed New Pickering and Rangel Fellows, introduced the Knowledge Transfer Initiative, and involved TLG members in community service and community action. American Foreign Service Association's Journal and State Magazine praised your work and the 40 years that TLG has encouraged African Americans in the formulation, articulation, and implementation of United States foreign policy. Your colleagues, the Thursday Luncheon Group, the Association of Black American Ambassadors, salute you without question. Please. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, clearly I was not expecting that. But the only thing I can say about it is, to whom much is given, much is required. And I accept this on behalf of all the people who believe in TLG's goals, but I definitely dedicate this to my mother, who spent a lot of time with me in life. So this is for her. So we're getting close to the end of the program. I do want to thank a number of people who helped put this program together. I have to start with Bernadette Cole-Bird, who is in South Africa as we speak, helping with the president's visit. She is a 24/7 Energizer bunny, and she gets things done. Additionally, I have to recognize Ambassador Harriet Elam Thomas, Ms. Fannie Allen, and Ambassador Ruth A. Davis. I had a good handle on the last 20 years. I really needed their help with that first 20, and they became historians overnight. They were finding individuals left and right, so I'm grateful. Within the building, I have to thank Undersecretary Pat Kennedy for his support for this event, and clearly our co-host, Assistant Secretary Joyce Barr. What I always like to do is make mention of the fact that TLG enjoys its partnerships with this building. The individuals who record the events, the photographers who take the photographs for these events. We appreciate their ability to support us in our activities, and this helps us get our message out to our embassies abroad. I cannot tell you how many people call me saying, well, Stacey, why are you having all these activities? I'm not there. I'm somewhere else. So through this technology, we're able to get that information to them so they feel like they're a part of that. The newsletter also supports that aspect of what we do. But in your programs, there should have been an insert. Lift every voice and sing. As customarily has been done for the 20th anniversary and the 25th anniversary, we will close today's event with a singing of that particular song. We will do this in unison, of course. I'm not a soloist. So when you have found that and you're available, please. So on the count of 3, and I hope everybody has it. And do keep in mind, we have to clear this room by 2:30. There are other future events. So we're giving y'all about a good 10, 15 minutes after the song is over. So, 1, 2, 3. Lift every voice and sing. Ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, those who have brought us far on the way, thou who hast light, let us into the light. Keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shall we need thy hand? May we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Well, all right. See you at the next anniversary celebration.